Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome to another episode of B is for Build. In today's episode, we're installing a 10-piece wide body kit on Kyle's BMW. This body kit we bought on eBay and it costs more than Kyle's car by like $1,000. It's like a $3,600 body kit onto like a $2,100 car. It's got a lot of pieces. It's got a trunk lid, it's got a new hood, fenders, front bumper, rear bumper, all sorts of great stuff. And we're gonna install it on today's episode. Stay tuned. Before we get down to work, I want to take a second out to thank our sponsor. Today's episode is sponsored by Cove, and I'm here to tell you about the Cove Commuter 2. I just got this speaker, and this thing is really cool. It's unlike any other speaker I've ever seen. It's super cool. It can get pretty loud. Let me show you. It's a lot of sound out of one little speaker. Well, it's technically two little speakers. So it's pretty cool. I can just connect it up to my Bluetooth and let it blast. We use it in the shop. We've been working a lot outside on Oscar's car, and it goes with you anywhere pretty much. It can last up to 7 hours on one charge, which is pretty amazing. But the thing that makes this speaker really unique is that you can split it in half and have two speakers. So say Oscar and I want to listen to the same stuff, but he's gonna be outside, I'm in the shop, I can just break it in half, hand it over to him, and he can use it while he works outside. I can use it while I'm inside the shop. Or you can just spread it out around yourself and have 360-degree stereo sound, which sounds amazing. Basically, it's like getting two speakers for the price of one. And they're water resistant, and they have a built-in microphone, so you can use these things for conference calling and stuff like that. They're great in the office, great in the home, and they have a range of up to 30 feet, and sometimes I even get a little bit more out of the range, which is really great. I have no disconnection issues or anything like that while I'm working with it in the shop, which is great. Really long distance on these. Cove Commuter 1 was the best Bluetooth speaker that I'd ever used before the 2 came out. Now this 2 has all the same great features as the 1, but it's got added improvements, and obviously it's gonna be louder with the dual speaker thing, and it breaks in half, which is pretty amazing. So this is now my new favorite Bluetooth speaker. It's honestly really great. And if you go ahead to the link in the description below, you can get up to 64% off when you purchase one of these right now. So hit the link in the description, guys. Go check it out. Get yourself one of these awesome Cove Commuter 2. Thanks to them for sponsoring this episode. Now let's get down to work. Okay, so I was talking with Kyle earlier, and what we want to do is Kyle's going to go ahead and try and test fit a few things to kind of see a little transformation. So we're going to test fit front bumper, hood, and the 2 fenders and see what it looks like with them all on the car. If it's possible. We'll see. Does that hood have any mounting? So sometimes like the hoods, they lack, I mean, they definitely, fiberglass hood's gonna lack this, but I'm not. It's got holes for the. It's got holes for the hinge bolts. Wow, look at that. Whoa, don't drop it into your car. Okay. Yeah, this is awesome. This could be really nice. Okay, Kyle. Good luck. Have fun. I'm excited. Excited to see where this goes. got the front bumper on here. It looks awesome. Now, there were some learnings about this. The kit from the outside looks great. Actual fit and fitment seems to be pretty far off and might be a serious problem, but for now we got the bumper on. So Kyle had to trim out some of the impact bar, actually all the impact bars, so we're gonna have to weld our own impact bar in to replace that, and then we had to cut some out of the headlights surrounds here and here to be able to get it around the headlights. Oh, and then also make a pretty big trim up here so it'd stop hitting this, and once all that was done, it was able to slip on. So very expensive body kit so far. Little sketchy on the fitment side. Not really sure how happy I am about this or not. So next step, Kyle's got to go ahead and get the fenders tested on here. And we had them on here earlier, and it was scary. So we'll see how that goes together. Kyle got the front fenders on, and we even threw the hood on for a little bit of test fitting action. And here's what we found out. It's kind of bad news, but we are going to work with it. You can see from this mold, see how this line is supposed to go like this, and you would expect it to kind of work its way around. It just bends in over 90 degrees and starts like looping in, so it really doesn't want to fit up well with the bumper. So we're going to have to force that to fit up well. Other than that, the hood fits decent. The fenders do stick out into the headlights, so we're going to have to kind of integrate that into the design a little bit, make a little, I don't know, something that looks decent. So the kit, for costing more than the car, was not a good purchase, and it just didn't end up being from, you know, a reputable kit manufacturer. So I don't even know who made this kit anymore. It was bought so long ago, so oh well. But we had to think about, do we want to work with this and make it work, or do we want to not? And we decided we want to work with it, we want to make it work, and we're just going to integrate the fixes that we have to do into the design. So Kyle's going for more of kind of like a cyberpunk design, and so we'll build some stuff into this that'll attach the different body parts to themselves or to the car in a little bit more of a kind of cyberpunk way. I guess that kind of leads to something I've been wanting to talk to you guys about for a long time. Is we called these like our apocalypse cars, but really the challenge was to build them all from scrap and then like kind of build them somewhat like futuristic or whatever. Oscar's Mustang ended up more like a patina car. It looks like a car that is built up of scrap extra body panels laying around and stuff like that, and has that nice old patina on it, which looks amazing. And I want to build more cars like that in the future to match that. Anyways, it doesn't look super apocalyptic. It's low to the ground, and listen, apocalypse cars would all have front rammer bars, they'd have spikes, they'd all have off-road wheels, and they'd all be jacked up. And that's not really what we all wanted to build. So we're calling these now essentially scrap cars, because we're building all these cars from scrap parts that we had around the shop. Mine, Kyle's, and Oscar's all included. So that's kind of what we're doing, and we're all theming them kind of in our own way. So Kyle's and mine will be a little bit more similar than Oscar's, and it won't be a trio of themed cars, but they're all going to be built from scraps around the shop. So scrap cars. So now that we know that the front is going to work but give us trouble, it's time to go onto the back and try the back bumper and the trunk lid and see if those are going to be close at all. Hard to see in here. We might have to move Kyle's car outside, but it is, the rear bumper is fitting up. You saw Kyle had to trim a little bit out to get the exhaust openings, but really that rear bumper looks like it will fit up. We don't know how well this line is going to match, but it's really, really close. Just a little bit more trimming needs to go in, and then the hood, the trunk lid also matches up as well, so that's great. Let's test out the side skirts. Side skirt fits. That's really good. It actually looks really cool when it all starts to kind of match up. You can see how much freaking bigger wheel we need in the back here. That's going to be kind of crazy. But so the side skirt fits. So that is most of this body kit stuff test fit and mock fit onto the car. So the next part is properly mounting and hardcore mounting these pieces to the car. So we've come up with a strategy where we have these massive panel gaps. So we're going to use, you know, the nuts and bolts and all the regular spots that it expects. But then when we have these big panel gaps, or these panels that are basically a little bit warped and they need some forcing to be together, you know, the traditional way is you just use one bolt, holds these two things together. There's no way that's going to work. We're going to have to do something a little bit more hardcore and a little bit more external, and we're going to build plates that are going to have a bunch of rivets in them. And then we're going to use those plates as kind of a contrasted part of the design. So when we go to paint everything, these plates are going to kind of pop out, and they're going to be part of the theme of the car. So it's going to look like a, you know, I don't know, a riveted plate. And we'll play that in, and we'll use it as a styling kind of cue throughout the car to make it look a little bit more kind of cyberpunk style, a little bit just different, you know, different than just a really clean wide-bodied E92. So we're going to go ahead and get started. In the front end. It's going to be the hardest part. Front bumper, front fenders, and the front hood all need to be hardcore mounted in here. Does that hood have a hood latch or a spot for a hood latch? Yes?
Should.
Okay. All right, that's part of the things we're going to figure out. So let's get this car outside and get it started. Update, we got the car outside so you guys can see what's going on, and Kyle did a great job of getting the fenders bolted up and the hood bolted up. This hood is actually latching and it's in the correct spot, and the body lines are not bad whatsoever, so that's a huge win. Next up, front bumper. Got to go ahead and get the front bumper like officially mounted on here. Kyle's got his front bumper on here and some things trimmed out. So these are the upper mounting points that are going to come across here, and then you can see that he trimmed out this huge section right here under the headlight, because the headlight surrounds were not fitting at all with this front bumper. So this is one of those places that we're going to put a plate, but this one's going to be cosmetic. It's going to come through here, have rivets right here, go through here, and we're going to keep it a contrasting color, so it'll give kind of like an eyelid looking effect to the headlight. It'll come out looking good. Right now it looks a little weird, but don't worry about that. It'll definitely look awesome. So the next thing that's going to add to the mounting is building the plate that's going to come across here to mount this fender, which you can see is obviously needs a little bit of help to get into the right area, to the bumper. So it's going to be a rectangular plate that comes across here, goes across here, and comes down here, and then it's going to rivet to a backing plate that'll come in from the back side, and we'll rivet all these things together, and it'll be a really, really strong way of attaching the fender to the bumper. Alright, so the guys just finished up the first of these kind of, we'll call them rivet plates or whatever. So that wraps around, looks pretty damn cool. And then remember, we're going to have a big one that kind of comes through here. So it's all going to tie together. And then I think cosmetically we might do some stuff around the vent openings. But anyways, that would be ready to go. And then this bumper's not coming off that fender. But before we do that, if you guys remember, Kyle had to cut out the bash bar. So we need to build something in there to replace it in case of an accident to have a little bit more safety. So we're going to pull the bumper off and build in a new front bash bar type thing. our slim fitting impact bar put back in here, and the horns mounted back up with the bottom supports that are going to support the bumper from the bottom. So now you guys saw on the bumper we had to cut out a huge section that comes around here and around here underneath the headlight, and we're going to rebuild those out of steel now, and it's going to be part of the design, kind of like the strip that goes here, out of steel with rivets. Going to redo that whole section right there so it can tuck into the headlight nicely. All right, well the look is coming together. The guy's got the front bumper on, attached to the fender, and then we got our kind of plates and our new eyelids that we're calling them. Now this looks a little crazy right now, but trust me, after a little bit of finishing work, a little bit of maybe body filler over the top of these to smooth these out, and once we get the contrasting colors painted on them, like whatever the difference of colors is, and all the rivets in here, it's gonna be a really cool theme. So looks crazy right now, but it's good. So we're gonna move on to the side skirt. Skirts have been the easiest fitting part of this entire build, so they're on there. Didn't really create too much fuss. Now that we got that done, we're going to move on to the rear bumper. Now the rear bumper kind of comes around here, and we might, depending on if it is gonna hold on. So BMW really puts a lot of faith in these plastic brackets right here to hold their bumpers on. They have a pretty good clipping mechanism. They don't normally fall out. But with a fiberglass bumper, you might not always get so lucky. So we might do the strips across here to help hold the bumper and make sure it's never gonna go anywhere. But for now, we'll just test fit it. Kyle did a lot of the work already with trimming the lower part of the rear impact bar and cutting out the exhaust holes. So we'll just fit the rear bumper up now and see how it goes. All right, the guys just wrapped up the bumper, so you can see this is what one of the plates, like now it looks like this one's a little bit more finished looking with all the rivets in it. You can start to get a feeling for the theme there, and I think it looks really cool. Once we start to carry this theme throughout other pieces of the car, it's going to be really cool. So the back bumper is on and looks really good. All right, we're almost complete on installing this wide body kit. So the last thing that we got to do is the rear over fender. So we're gonna have to cut out this metal throughout here, so as the wheel moves up and down, and once we widen this wheel out, that it won't hit the body and tear up our tire. And then we're gonna go ahead and install the over fender. Now the over fender we're gonna install with some adhesive that's used to bond fiberglass panels to metal. So we're going to go ahead and clean up the paint through here. We're going to adhesive that on, and then we're also going to build a plate like this that goes through here to help carry that theme out, and that'll make sure that it just absolutely never comes off. Kyle got the cut made, and then there's a little bit of a gap, so we welded in a strip, and then we covered it in fiberglass reinforced body filler, which is a pretty good way to keep the weather out of your quarter panels. So then the next step is we're going to go ahead and fix the over fender onto the car, and then start to develop the strips that are going to go around it. And then what we'll do is once we have the strips made, we'll take it off, sand the paint off, put the panel bond on there so it's like glue it on there, and install the rivet strips at the same time so it won't move. Alright, the rear over fender is on, and that wraps up this wide body kit install. So you can see that we went a little bit bigger over here than we had originally planned. Originally we just planned to do a strip across here and here, and then we sat back, we started thinking about our paint scheme and the design that we wanted to have for this car, and we realized that if we're going to do these rivet strips, we got to go all out and we got to do a lot of them. So that was just one of them, and we expanded into this section, mainly because on the other side it has a dent in it from the crash. That's the last little bit of damage from the crash. So once we add that into the other side, the car won't look like it's ever been in a crash. dash anymore. So there are a lot more rivet plates to come in this car, and then we have a paint scheme that's going to tie them all together and look very aggressive and really mean and really cool, like a mix between like a futuristic kind of like cyberpunk car with a fighter jet a little bit, little from column A, a little from column B, but I think it really looks amazing. Oh, but like we don't have all the rivets in it either, so you can like really get the idea from looking back here like what it's all going to look like when it's together. But that's it. We installed the body kit on Kyle's car that is worth more than Kyle's car, and it looks phenomenal. Now that we're done installing the wide body, I will point out that the price really doesn't relate to the fitment quality when we're buying a body kit on eBay. I bought much cheaper kits, like 3 times cheaper kits that fit 15 times better than this one. This is like probably the second most expensive body kit I've ever bought, and it's one of the worst fitting. So just to let you guys know that, and if you buy something, you like the way it looks, you want it on your car, but it doesn't fit right, just get creative like we did. In the end, this thing will look amazing, and you'll see. In the next episode, we're painting that car, and it's gonna be awesome, and no mistakes this time, promise. See you guys then. Peace!